Hey, what's up guys? Just got a few tables here on Stars PA. One 200 NL and a couple 100 NLs and looking to add a fourth table probably when I can join. So yeah, just gonna do a quick play and explain and let's get into it. Alright, with the nines here, um, pretty large 3-bet. Just gonna let it go this time. Over here, given the players in the hand, I will probably call 6-9 suited, and don't think we'll be getting limp re-raise so super often from hijack. And we're out. Open the king 5. Quick call out of the small blind. Board like this, with us in position of both, I think we can just bet small really often. I think it'll accomplish a lot. Get called by both, and then the turn brings a flush. Probably just gonna start giving this up. We'll go from there. Quick check from small blind. Yeah, can't do anything versus this, unfortunately. I've already gotten my socks coolered off of me a few times this session before hitting record. So just can only go up from here. So that's at least what I'm hoping for. All right, we'll 3-bet ace king. Got very quickly 4-bet in this exact configuration by this guy a little bit earlier. See if he does it again. Not this time. I had ace jack off that time, so didn't work out. We'll open up the 6-9. I do have the RNG for this play and explain. I don't really use it very often. There aren't many spots where I think that I won't be able to figure out a better decision than totally randomizing. Just trying to exploit some sort of frequency mistakes from population or from a specific player. Not that I don't think decisions are ever indifferent, which they obviously are quite frequently, but I think that people are making, even like the regs, make the types of frequency mistakes that result in us adjusting to pure calls and pure folds and things like that, where we don't really have to randomize to make a good decision. So there aren't too many spots where I'll use it, but sometimes for like a pre-flop decision, like 3-betting out of the big blind or something, it could go either way. Okay, here, we'll float here, and here I actually think we'll start with a bet. Our hand dominates the other 4x, which they might have in these positions. Backdoor spades is nice insurance. And we'll start immediately putting pressure on a variety of hands that have some equity against our pair of 4s, and start to isolate their range down to hands that we dominate, like worst 4x or ace x. We'll let this go over here. Pretty clear check on the turn now. River 7 is not my favorite card. Some floats from the flop improve. We face a block. I think we probably can fold our 4x considering we will have 8x and 7x opening from the cutoff. We'll see a bit of variety of 8x and 7x, and also check some 9x on the turn as well. Even versus small size, I don't think we have to do much with the 4. I don't think he'd ever value bet a worse 4, so let it go that time. Here I'd bet with a spade, but no spade. We're just going to keep checking our queen jack high, nut no pair. And try and showdown. Alright, we did not get a bluff with the 5 high with, I believe he had a spade, right? Yeah. 5 high with a spade, no bluff. You, sir, are getting downgraded to tight. Start with a check over here. You can play some high frequency bets. Just gonna try check. Check again. Quick check on the river. 4-liner. It's close, honestly. I kind of want to go for value, but it might be too thin on this exact run out. Maybe ace 9 is a bit better. And then any queen X, obviously. Yeah, I don't think there's a size I can bet that just cleanly targets a worse 9. So we'll take that one. 3-bet the ace queen here, take it down. We're 4 ways over here. We'll let this go. Even though the size is not super strong, I can just have a hand with a 10 or a 7 or a queen to do something with. Yeah, the times that I do have like a 10, I think I might be very aggressive versus this this action. It's a possibility that this reg is also thinking the same way. Just capitalizing on like a really weak spot. Let that go. Okay, we're 3 ways over here. I don't do much betting out of position, especially 2 players to act, even on a very dry board like this. I think it's pretty clean to just check, especially because the reg to my left is pretty aggressive. Solid player, just want to be balanced when I'm out of position in spots like this. Okay, I think we definitely start betting the turn now. In terms of size, we'll probably target some 8x, some pocket pairs, and some of the worst queens that check behind. There's also hands like Jack 10, Jack 9, stuff like that. So I'm going to use a size like maybe a little less than half pot, like 40%. It's a size I like to go to in multi-way spots. Just a call. Let me think about this run out. 5-6 is somewhat of a thing. I think the button can have 5-6. Ace 5, potentially. Any new 2 pairs? Not really. The occasional set comes in. I think I'm still going to value bet. Not super large. If we were heads up, I'd obviously go much bigger, but into 2 ranges, I think probably our best size is going to be something like this with our good queens. And then we can play some bigger sizes with like some stronger hands. Nice. I imagine he just had a worse queen. I'm just going to fold the spot, by the way. This is a little bit deceptive of a spot here. These sorts of offsuit wheel aces are not so good. with a couple players in position of us. Here, we have a bunch of players in position. But I just think 7-8 has more playability, and we're also a little bit deeper than we are with the button over here, so we will call. I think we call versus that size. We did just full an open ender. Wasn't paying too close attention. We'll call our second pair. Was this heads up? I'm trying to think. This was not heads up, was it? So I don't know if I get leads. I'm not sure. Here. Okay, check turn. Oh, I never checked what I got called by last hand. Ace king high. That's interesting. So we flatted ace king. Overcalled it, actually. Versus, what was it? He was button or something? That. We'll let that go. Call here. No leads on this river, probably. So short. Not really worth building the small blind flat. Here. What happened here? He checked. He gave up Jack 10, okay. With a diamond. I guess that's reasonable. Here, we will 3-bet the ace, or the 7-8 suited. We've been 3-betting very aggressively. Versus 3 big blinds I will be playing usually 3-bet or fold. And I think I'm just going to over 3-bet just because I think it'll perform well. Even though this guy did hit me with a quick 4-bet in the same configuration. I think I just might throw in a call this time. At 200 NL, I think it's fine to build some of these button flats. Especially when there's a fun player in the big blind. So I think this is a bit of a mistake from him to just sort of what looked like mindlessly c-bet this texture out of position small. We will just call. This board's actually quite good for my button flat range, so you should do a lot of checking on the flop. Now I think my spot's pretty polar. If I do decide to bet, it's probably going to be ace-jack and better. I think the size I use is like close to pot. Let's do something like 90% pot, 85% pot, maybe. But yeah, this is a very polar spot to reopen. That's an interesting river. I think I do value bet. We are protected by a bunch of flushes if we get raised. And he will have some weaker ace-x that will feel inclined to call versus the size I would use for my like second tier value hands here, like trips. And then my best hands like flushes and boats will go bigger, but I think we'll do something like 2/3 for trip aces with a decent kicker. So, nice hand. And I assume we got called by... We got called by a queen with a spade. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes some sense. Yeah, it was a very quick call, relatively speaking, for the fact that his hand's a complete bluff catch. So I wonder if he just assumed I was always bluffing here, or maybe never considered raising. I assume you'd have to raise some queen X with a spade. But again, that's just kind of a good hand that beats all my bluffs. So depending on how often you think I'm bluffing that spot, it might be better to just shift those one pair hands into calls as opposed to bluff raises. Not sure exactly. Yeah, it was an interesting hand for sure. Looks like we got cold called by hijack here. I think we will fold this with the reg in the big blind. Versus half. Do we get to float this? I think we do get to float this. I probably won't be check raising this hand. Probably using like 7, 8, 8, 9 type hands. Or maybe some like queen jack backdoor flush hands. Half pot on the flop, he's saying he has like a 10, or maybe he's going with like a 7s to 9s type hand. Occasional decent 6x. Okay, so now he's saying he has a 10 or better. Fortunately, can't do much either way with this exact hand. This is basically bottom of what we check call on the flop. So we'll be out of there. Oh yeah, this guy slow rolled me the last session I played. I punted off a very interesting river jam over his bet with top pair, and when I absolutely did not need to do that, and he sat there and thought for maybe 10-15 seconds and then called with the nut flush on an unpaired board. So well played, sir. Fair play. But I will say you've got it coming your way if we ever end up in that situation. Here I'll just go for some value with our two pair. Even on this board, it's kind of scary. Maybe I have to size down. Can't really size down much more than this. Let's do something like that. Again, these ace-high boards out of position. Just gonna do a lot of checking. If you have like 2 recreationals or multiple recreationals, like you can get away with just like c-betting some strong hands because they'll be a little bit more face-up and less protected, less trappy, depending on the type of player. But it's just a safe strategy to do a lot of checking out of position. Alright, so we'll check call 2/3 here. Don't think we want to check raise ace-jack. Especially when we saw this guy can overcall ace-king. Don't think we want to check raise ace-jack as much. But when we do have a check raise hand like 6s or whatever, then we will check raise and very large to target some of those ace-x that are strong and maybe can 3-bet. Not super thrilled about the turn. I think we're already indifferent. Obviously, we have all the combos with the diamond we can continue. Yeah, just not a fun spot. Do I think this spot's overbluffed? When I check to him and there's 2 players to get through on the flop, and he goes 2/3. Just gonna let that one go. I have all of those offsuit combos with a diamond. That continue. So certainly don't need to be doing a ton of calling with like the offsuit ace-x without the diamond. We'll also just have some flushes and stuff like that. So here, okay, I will start betting the turn now. We'll go for like half pot. I'm taking a long time over here on some of these tables. Yeah, there I just wanted to check that flop out of position in that configuration. Here I'm gonna let go of the 10s, just because the 10s interact with some of the most logical bluffs in the spot, like the straight draws, queen 10, 10-8 suited, stuff like that. Here we're just gonna c-bet extremely often in this ISO spot on this paired high board, disconnected, and we will be calling a check raise. But I'm getting a notification from PokerStars that I'm outside Pennsylvania, which I am definitely not. But it looks like it hasn't terminated my session or anything, so we'll just keep going. Alright, we'll flat the King 9-0 versus the button open. versus off a shorter stack, so potentially recreational player. Yeah, I think we just have a pretty clean check call. I'm not going to check raise the king 9. Nice turn. Facing full pot. Trying to think, does our hand check raise? This is pretty polar. We will just call this time. With the top 2. Blocking a lot of the board. Okay, so he did have a bluff that gave up the river. Interesting turn bet. It's definitely an overbluff on the turn. Yeah, not sure what that's about. Just gonna see bet range versus an unknown shorter stack. Got a fairly quick call. Would do a lot of betting or some betting if I had one of the suits, or if we were a bit deeper, and when I hit the nuts on the river, we had more implied odds. But king queen, I think I'll check back and try and win at showdown somehow. Yeah, it's probably too thin to bet in position. I don't think I'd want to use a size more than like 40% or something. That's just, I don't know, it doesn't feel right this short because I get jammed on pretty easily. Alright. We'll 3-bet ace queen. Oh, he's pretty short. Check our weak ace on the turn here. We will probably call it off. Looks like this guy's pretty active. Okay, this is checking down. I think I'll block maybe. Target just like a river jack or maybe a 9x. Here, low jack open and flat off this short. It's kind of strong, honestly. No spade. Just gonna check back this time. You can make an argument just for betting super often, but I'll just check this time. Okay, so we face 1/6 on the turn. Yeah, definitely not going anywhere versus that. Nice river. Don't know if it's good enough to play for it all. Okay, versus a third, I think we might be able to. Let me think. What was he saying? I had like ace jack. That's pretty much the only thing we could jam and get value from, right? Yeah, I might have to make just an idiot call versus a third. Check 10. Okay. I don't know what that was, but no idea what that was, but we'll take it. Let that go. Yeah, that's a bit of a strange one. Not really sure what's going on. I don't even know what note to take on that. Like, okay. Raise, call, 3-bet, anything, cut off, check chant off, value bluff. Okay, it was definitely value bet, right? Because the size was so small, it's definitely value bets. But yeah, okay. Just, I don't know if he knows what's even going on, so might not be a super useful note to go and like read a paragraph every time I click on this guy, but oh well. It's a good flop. Mono boards just bet small. Is my main size. Okay. We will just keep betting. In terms of the sizing scheme, I think we will just use a size like half. You can maybe use a little bit bigger, but I feel comfortable with half. I think I know how to construct that. It's not my favorite river, but I think we probably have to triple. We might have to use like a regular size in theory, but I'm gonna use kind of like a smaller size like this. Just target like the queen jack off, stuff like that. We will fold to check raise. Well, ISO king 10 suited over here. Okay, take it down. Happy with that. How long have we been going for? Almost 30 minutes. Do a few more minutes. What is going on over here? Okay, so we ISO'd king 10, got cold called, and now we're getting led into. I think we just play call. There's not a ton of terrible turns on the rainbow board. Oh shoot, we got called in 2 places. I didn't even realize that. Okay. Okay, that's a great turn. Love to see that. Okay. Yeah, the lead is, I don't think he like folds a 7 now for like a half pot size bet. Like I assume the lead is like a 7, right? Or like a pair. Maybe like 8s. I don't know if that would open limp though. I'm assuming it's a 7. I don't know if I can try to get all in. So we're gonna use a size that's a little bit more appropriate for something like that. Like a 7 or like a hand that would donk into me for quote unquote protection. Yeah, okay. Take that one down. We gave ourselves every opportunity to get more value there just by flatting flop and betting small turns, so can't feel too bad. Probably doesn't make too much sense to check the turn. And if he has a pocket pair, just give him a free look at a potential boat on the river that also won't call a river bet, so. Okay, get 2 limps, we're gonna ISO. Not a great flop. Gonna be checking very often, even with like strong hands. A bunch of overpairs. Okay, quick check on the turn. Sorry, quick check on the flop, and now queen on the turn. I think we'll check again. Face half. Not a super aggressive player through the limited number of hands I have. Let it go. Bit unfortunate there. Alright, pick up ace king over here. Blind versus blind. Pretty deep, but we'll just take it down. We'll open up the queen jack. Okay, let's do a few more hands and we'll call it a day. we'll stop on next big blind at all the tables. I think we got some interesting hands in. A couple nice hands where we got some good value. A couple hands where we're trying to navigate multi-way and stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty good little sesh. Assuming I don't punt off a few buy-ins in these last few hands here. But yeah. Also, I wanted to give shout-outs to Emmett, who chatted to me at the table the other day about probably seeing me at Parks. So shout out Emmett. Hopefully going back to Parks. I should maybe open that. Hopefully going back to Parks more in the future. Just really busy these days. So online is like the main place I get to play. Okay, so I'm just going to flat ace-10 suited here. A, because his PFR is pretty low, and he doesn't raise very often. It's a large raise, and there's also a fun player in the big blind, and our hand's also strong enough to call a squeeze. So I will just be calling and trying to play in position. A quick half pot. Not my favorite. We do block some intuitive bluffs, but at the same time, those are the types of hands that give us equity. So we do have backdoor equity. I think we call one. Fortunately, didn't turn much. Really cringe size on the turn here. We're just drawing to a queen. Queen's the only card that we feel comfortable on, so just gonna let that one go. Yeah, a little unfortunate there, but I think we made a good read on the situation pre-flop and played it fine post. So, but yeah, I really love playing at Parks. A mix of the 2-5 and the 10-10 with the $20 straddle. A lot of fun, great games, and met some cool people. So hopefully I can go back sometime soon. Alright, we're done on these two tables. Looks like we're done on this table. Okay, so this will be our last hand here, the King 10. And we're done. Alright. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this pretty short play and explain. If you have any thoughts or questions, comments, yeah, just put them down below. Thanks for watching. Bye.